How are you doing? It is mega hot here in Thailand at the moment. So I have got no face paint on because it will only drip off. So you have me in my rawest of Wendy, the rawest of Wendy. So I wanted to talk to you about the fear of failure and why you have a choice to either survive or thrive in your business. Now, this holds true whether, Alexa, turn off, whether it's crazy times like we're experiencing now, or things are running smoothly and the world is back to normal, because this is all about the internal mindset game of business. So I want to talk to you very quickly about fear of failure. Having the choice to put yourself in a place of survival, or whether you're going to move into the space of thriving and stepping up and playing a bigger game. Last week, I think it was last week, yes, it was last week, I hosted a 2-day live event, and one of the conversations on that 2-day live event was absolutely awesome. And it was about survival, being in survival mode because of everything that's going on, that stress and anxiety that we pick up and fear that we pick up from people around us. As one of the conversations was, well, we went deep into this conversation, and we were talking about what we call the loop, and how our internal thoughts, when they get stuck on a loop, can stop us from progressing and really making the impact it is that we want to make in our business and our life. So I've just been doing some work because I want to look at how I'm moving the business forward, and some mindset stuff started playing out for me, and I thought, ooh, what's that about? And I promised Manyan that I would, next time the loop comes up, I will dig a bit deeper and I will get underneath of what is happening in that loop that often keeps me stuck and in a place of, a lot of people say playing small, but you don't know what you don't know. Plus, you're only working from a place of behavior unconsciously. So you're not always aware of what's happening when you're stuck in the loop. So your behavior most of the time will be unconscious. What I've done now is push it into the conscious, so I'm fully aware of what is happening in the loop in terms of self-sabotaging behavior, in terms of the fear I have around failure. So how it shows up for me, and let me know if this is familiar for you. So how it shows up for me is I will catch myself saying, why am I not getting this? What am I not getting? And I will say, I've been saying this for years. This is how unconscious the loop has been for me. Why am I not getting this? How can I not figure it out? I'm just not getting it. That's the start of the loop. Now, if I dig underneath that, so this, when I say the loop, I mean unconscious behavior, which prevents me from moving forward and into achieving greater success. So underneath that, I've discovered that there is a deep-seated fear of failure, which is bizarre. It's bizarre because it just means I go round in a circle. This is why we call it the loop. So fear of failure, fear of rejection. Now, if I take that down another layer and have a look at where that has come from, we're talking about having no money, coming from a place of lack, being homeless, which are all things that have happened in my past from having no money, which pushes me into a place of survival, which is what lots of people are experiencing right now in terms of managing their emotions, their level of fear and anxiety. A lot of people are in survival. So now I'm fully aware of that, what I can do is I can have a look at what's happening emotionally for me, how I am dealing, or what I'm not dealing with actually, what I'm not challenging my own mindset around. So for me, emotionally, it shows up as, I have to come to terms with that I feel uneducated, I feel thick, I don't feel as good as other people. I basically feel less than other people, which keeps me in this loop of why am I not figuring it out? Cha-ching! Light bulb moment. Mind blowing for me. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what it is. That's what's underneath. Why am I not getting this? So, yeah, this is what I believe. These are the deep beliefs I hold about myself. And I'm being brutally honest here. I'm laying all my cards out on the table, as you do, because this is where the best learning comes from. Now, I say this to my clients a lot. Everybody I say this to is that, oh, I seem to have got ink everywhere. I don't know where that's come from. Is that, sorry, I digress, is that we can have a tendency to reject ourselves before we even decide to make an action. When we've already made our minds up about something, let's just use sales because sales is a classic example. People feel reluctant to make an offer or to even start to have the conversation to lead into an offer later on. What's happening there is that their fear, their level of self-worth is interfering with them running a more successful and a thriving business, because what happens is they reject the other person, but what's happening before they reject the other person is that they are rejecting themselves because of all of this underlying unconscious thoughts that are going on. So once you start to become aware of what's playing out, what's happening within that loop, then, as scary as it is, you can start to take some steps to move forward. Because everything that I've just said to you, those are emotions, thoughts, feelings, but they're actually not true. Because the next piece of work I'm going to have to do is to unpick those thoughts I have about myself, to break free of being stuck in that loop. And I just started doing a little bit of it. And then when I started doing it, I thought, oh, this is interesting. This is really interesting. So, I've spent years educating myself. I've spent, I don't know how much money on courses. Even when I was employed by an employer, I would always be studying. I'd put myself through Open University. I've got so many qualifications that I've lost count of how many qualifications I've got. But I think I've done that because that underlying belief about myself is that I'm thick, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I can't compete against other people, I can't stand next to other people who are better educated than I am. And I thought, actually, that's interesting. So I've been hiding all this time in the education, learning part, and not realizing that actually I am enough because of all of this deep rooted, low self-worth. It's not confidence, because I do have confidence, but low self-worth is what's kept me in that loop. So how the loop is playing out for me. I hope this is making sense. If it's not, pop a question in the chat box and I will come back and answer the question for you. I work very much step by step in small chunks in a process that ends up in a destination. So there is method in my methodology. So here's how the loop works. So I have these thoughts of, why am I not getting this? I need to figure it out. That links into a belief around myself about, I'm petrified of failure, petrified of rejection. That leads me into a state of survival, which is about, my childhood, having no money, being made homeless. So it all fits together. Then underneath that, what I believe about myself is that, I'm thick, I'm not bright enough, I can't line up against other people who are highly educated, who can articulate themselves well, who can spell. I can't spell. That's actually a big one that I haven't put in there, so note to self. I then spent years overcompensating and doing course after course, qualification after qualification, hiding in, not addressing that I didn't feel good enough. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So how the loop psychologically my head is keeping me safe is by, the product I've created in the business it works, it's good, people buy it, it gets results, it sells. So it's almost like a conflict. One part is that, why am I not getting this? The offer I've created sells, it works, it gets results. But why is it not going to the next level? And the reason why it's not going to the next level is because of the comfort of the familiarity of that space, because I haven't addressed the underlying beliefs. I hope this is making sense. It makes sense to me. I've got it. My head's got it. I'm like, whoa, my God, this is great. It's only taken me 50 freaking years to realize. Yeah, so my job now is to close the loop, is to really address those internal thoughts and put them into context and to put them into reality, now that I'm consciously aware of my sense of fear of failure and rejection and what it leads to. It's what they call, isn't it, as a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's the loop. So I wanted to share that with you, because we do have a choice whether we want to survive or thrive. And it really is about what you don't know, you don't know. It's really about, digging deep and getting underneath of what you keep saying to yourself when you keep getting stuck. Because being in a loop, while the brain is thinking that it's keeping you safe, it's actually a very, very uncomfortable place to be. It's literally like you feel you are in a cage and you can't break free, you can't get out, that you are endlessly stuck. And obviously, as I've just discovered, it doesn't need to be like that, but it does take that personal development, the digging deep, spending some time on what loops am I stuck in? What is playing out in my mind that's just not reality, that just isn't true, that will just keep you going around in a circle and not achieving the success it is that you want. I talk about, moving from a place of survival to thriving a lot, because a lot of the women that I work with, when I start working with them, the business is in survival. And what I mean by that is that it's, they've had some success, but it's barely getting by. And what I do is I work with them to move into a space of thriving. So I talk about it a lot. So this is some of the work that we do. So I obviously have to do it on myself, which is what I've just done. But this is some of the work that I do with my clients, is getting under the skin of what's really going on. Because it won't matter how many qualifications, how many courses you do, how many masterminds you go on, if you don't examine what's going on in terms of your own mindset, you're not going to be as successful as you can potentially be. And you have a choice whether you want to survive or thrive. And it really is a case of, with this, what you don't know, you don't know. But as soon as you become consciously aware of it, you can start to make very, very different decisions based in reality, not based in all old unconscious beliefs that you hold about yourself that are just not true, but they are a story of your past. So they're actually quite painful, but it's a story of your past that you now need to bring into reality, into the future. Is that woo woo? I don't think that's woo woo. Some people will say that's woo woo, but I don't think it's woo woo. I just think that's the way it is. I think that's the way the brain works. That's the way the brain works. You see, I can't be that thick. I figured it out. Crazy, crazy. If you watch this video, let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know if you've ever been stuck in a loop, if you feel that you're stuck in a loop, how did you get out of your loop? Yes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to share Dr. Mannion's Bollinger, I think it is. Sorry if I've said your name incorrectly, apologies. I'm going to put her recording below this video once I've edited it. I'll put it on YouTube because it was a very important conversation, especially in what people are experiencing now with their business. I believe that will really help them to step beyond the level of fear and anxiety of what is playing out for a lot of people. Okay, ciao. Ciao, ciao, ciao. I will see you soon once I've spent a couple of days getting my head around my new reality that I'm going to create for myself. Take care, beautifuls.